Yeah, a spark plug should not be that daggone rusty and dirty. Stuff's turning black. Insane. Welcome back to the channel, you guys. My name is Jack. This is Gas Diesel Garage, and in today's episode, well, we got a Ford. Yeah. Stay tuned. Now, just recently, one of my buddies picked up this 1999 Ford F-250 Super Duty with the 5.4 liter gas engine in it. Doesn't have the diesel. No power stroke for Chris. But that's okay. He doesn't have to worry about that headache. Now, I thought he got a pretty good deal. A 99 with under 100,000 miles. But it's gonna need a few things. It's gonna need a lot of things. Let me show you. So many things, it feels like I'm doing a restoration, mechanically wise. Check this out. This is everything that I am going to put on that truck. Yes, you're gonna do your typical oil change and filter, your transmission and trans filter service. We're even gonna do some suspension upgrades because Fords are notoriously bad in that year model Ford Super Duties for front ball joints and wheel bearings. So we're gonna take care of ball joints and wheel bearings and the infamous spark plugs and the coils. And there's something about these plugs. Hopefully these things, actually they're the upgraded type, because the original spark plugs, yeah, that's gonna be fun. And somebody stole the catalytic converter, so we're gonna put a catalytic converter in it. Now this is gonna be a span of a couple different episodes, but let's do the easy stuff first, and let's tackle the spark plugs and spark plug coils. So first thing we need to do is we need to grab some PB blaster, because what we're gonna do is we're gonna spray down in the holes of the spark plug holes, and we're gonna let them sit overnight because we don't want these things to break. Believe me, I'm gonna show you exactly what I mean by that. You don't want spark plugs to break off in the engine. Yeah, it happens. Now this F-250 4x4 came with a plow attachment device or whatnot. So Chris, you're gonna come over to my house when it snows and you're gonna plow all this snow out of my yard. Is that cool? That's gonna be a deal. Yeah. And body wise, it's not that bad. Piston gas door here, and your typical surface rust in the Virginia weather. I think this is an original Virginia truck, if I'm not mistaken, but I guess he can Carfax that. So anyways, let's take a look at the interior. Well, interior, yeah, somebody big must have been rolling in and out of that seat, as you can see. Yeah, and look, check it out. 99,000 miles. Yep, needs a bench seat, needs some headliner work, and this thing's gonna be a good roller. Not a roller, it's actually supposed to be his work truck. Well, one of his work trucks, because that man stays busy, believe me. Now let's take a look at this 5.4 liter engine. Oh, okay, that doesn't stay up. Yep, time to grab a stick. Now, as you can tell, this engine is pushed up under the cowl, and it's very hard to get to things because right in here, spark plugs sit from the top. Yes, I can get those that you see right here that's, you know, visible, but the ones that are back through there, well, like I always say, move stuff out of your way, makes things a lot easier. Yes, it might take a little bit more time, but trust me, trying to work around the intake and all that, that's even more of a pain in the ass. So just get stuff out of your way, you make your life a lot better. So what we're gonna do now is we're just gonna take all that stuff off so we can review the coil packs and get this show on the road. Oh, grab myself some PB Blaster because we're gonna need that. Now there's one tip I can give you, but you're gonna get a lot of tips in this video, actually throughout this whole series on, you know, returning this truck to its former glory, or at least halfway. But when you take something apart or disconnect something, remember where it goes. If you're really that unsure, put it this way, most of these wire harnesses do not stretch. So don't try to take one plug and stretch it over to another plug. What I mean by that is that a lot of these look the same, but you can see how the harness comes out of here. Now you can't mistake the injector plug with the spark plug coil plug. Can't mistake that. But as you can see, they're actually in their places like they're supposed to be. I don't know if you can see that very well. Apologize. But what we're gonna do is keep plugging on, remove the throttle positioning sensor, and what we're gonna do here is we're gonna take those two 10mm bolts out of this bracket, and it can roll on over and we can access those coils. 1, 2, 3, and there's one back there, number 4. See, there we go. We have a lot more access to the coil packs. 1, 2, 3, and there's a 4th one back there, but trust me, it's back there. So we just disconnect them. Well, you can do either way. You can either take that 7mm bolt out that holds the coil in and then unplug it, but it's just as well. Whatever you want to do, just unplug them. There we go. Okay guys, I don't want to steer you wrong. I don't want to half-ass anything. You're gonna have to take the fuel rail out so you can get those coil packs out and you'll actually be able to see it even better. So we're going to take the fuel rails out so you can see the coil packs on how they're in and how we're going to take the spark plugs out. So just, you know, trying to keep it all honest. Okay, so what we're going to do is take that fuel rail out, take these 8mm bolts out right there, and then there's one back through here you got to take out. But if you just lightly pry up, hopefully you don't screw up the O-rings, because if you screw up the O-rings, you're gonna have to replace them, or you're gonna start smelling fuel, or then it might start squirting all over your engine, then you might catch on fire. Let me show you something! Now before we go prying on the fuel rail, take out the first three injector plugs, because the rear actually has enough slack to where it can move so we don't rip it out of the actual harness. So let's see, 1, 2, and 3. Back there, 3, there you go. Now we just need to find a good way to pry this thing up. And oh, make sure the pressure is not in the engine, or fuel pressure rather. Release the. Now we take ourselves a pry bar. I like pry bars because I can get down in deep more. Put it down in there like this and just gently pry up on it. Yep. Okay, well, we got the fuel rail out. Now we can access the coil packs a lot easier, because like I was saying earlier, those 7mm bolts down in there, which you get a better light there. The 7mm bolts sit under there, and it's really hard to get to. But since we pulled the fuel rail out, I was able to inspect my injectors. Got all of my O-rings on the top there, the blue, and then the O-rings on the bottom. And on inspection, because this truck has been sitting for a while, look at those injector nozzles. They don't look very well. So what we're going to do, we're going to actually clean these things. But let's go ahead and continue with the coil pack removal. Now we got the coil packs out, but what we're gonna do, I think I spoke earlier when I said that we're gonna spray some PB Blaster in there, into the holes, the spark plug holes, and we're gonna leave it overnight. Because the reason is because we want it to be free of all that dirt and grime, because we don't want to break them spark plugs. And yes, they will break. move to the passenger side and go ahead and do the same exact thing that we did to that side. Do it to the passenger side. Take the fuel rail off and all that good stuff. Here's another tip. When you pull the PCV valve out, make sure it jiggles. That's how you know you got a good PCV valve. Now there is something I didn't mention before on the other side. The harnesses, they can actually pop up off of the valve cover to give you a lot more space. See that? All right, we're gonna let that PB blaster sit in there in the spark plug holes and let it break up a lot of that corrosion. And speaking of corrosion, let me show you something. If you guys have followed my channel for a number of years, what do I always say? I say, don't get screwed by the dealer. Now, here's a prime example on why you should do things by yourself, for yourself, and not get screwed by the dealer, because I just noticed something taking these coil packs out, that 2 of those coil packs have never been changed. And how I know that? It's because it says Ford on them. Check it out. Let me grab my light here. If you look at all the coil packs, this was the driver's side. The 2 that people do not want to change, which are on the driver's side rear. And you see all that corrosion? I'm sure that coil pack hasn't been working for a while. And this one wasn't far off. But if you see down here at the base of the coil pack, here, let me flip it around. What does that say? That says Ford. And the rest of these don't say Ford, so that means that these are aftermarket coil packs, these last 6. These 2, and these 2. So, what we're going to do is, we're replacing all of them. All of the coil packs and all of the spark plugs. Got a nice bundle of joy right here. And I'm going to catch you tomorrow after that PB blaster has set in, and we'll just pick it up from there. Boom, and it's the next day. Well, overnight like I said, we had it soaked in the PB blaster. Now what we can do is, now we can see if the spark plugs will come out without breaking. Hopefully. All right, now let's see. get yourself a 5/8 deep well socket and pray. All right. Well, that one broke pretty good. Didn't break, but I was able to unloosen it, which is a good thing. Now we just got to do that for the next 7. Well, we got a slight issue, which kind of figured that this was going to happen. Remember when I was showing you the coil packs? See how rusted that thing is? Well, it just so happens I got a lot of rust in that hole, by the way. Want to be real transparent with you guys and show you exactly what you're in store for if you ever have to go through this. Remember when I was putting all that PB blaster down inside the spark plug holes? It's because I'm trying to break up a lot of this rust. Yes, you see this right here? That's rust. And you can see that really good. There. See? That's rust. I'm trying to get it out as best I can because I can't even get a socket on that spark plug because there's so much gunk and rust and crap all inside this. See? That brown stuff, it's not good. You guys ain't gonna believe what I had to do to get this spark plug out. With the help of a shop vac, tiny little funnel, and a bunch of PB blaster, I was able to pull this thing on out. Look at how nasty that is. I don't think that thing has ever been changed. Time to continue on. Yeah, a spark plug should not be that daggone rusty and dirty. Good thing we got it out without breaking it, because that's one thing I was really worried about, was snapping that porcelain, and then we're gonna have to extract the body of it out. So thank God we got it out. Thank God for PB Blaster. Now that we got the driver's side out, let's focus in on the passenger side. Let's pray to God that I don't have the same episode like I did with that one. Now I already know what you guys are gonna say. What about all that PB Blaster that you just dumped all into the cylinders? Well, since we had the spark plugs out, we can now purge the engine. Let me show you how we're gonna do that. Hey, first thing we need is a screwdriver. Now the reason why we need a screwdriver is because we need to jump the starter solenoid. And yes, you can jump the starter solenoid without actually turning the truck on. And the reason why we don't want to turn the truck on is because, remember earlier in the video, I had the fuel rails off and fuel injectors and everything else. So if you turn the ignition to the on position, that means I'm going to get sprayed by fuel. A lot of fuel. So we're just going to jump the starter solenoid so we can purge all of that PB Blaster that fell down in the cylinders. We need to purge all of that PB Blaster out, or at least the majority of it, so we don't hydrolock the engine when we put the new spark plugs in. So let me show you how to do this. There's a starter solenoid that sits right down in there. You see these two? What we're gonna do is take this screwdriver. Make sure you got a piece of plastic or something. Don't get electrocuted and be an idiot and put a piece of metal between there. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna spark this right here, just like this. See it? You hear it? You hear it crank? So make sure you're wearing safety glasses. Safety is no accident, my friends. So let's purge this stuff on out. Now I know the camera didn't show a lot of it shooting out because it was pretty much a mist of fluid, but trust me, at least doing that, chances of hydrolocking the engine are very slim, I promise you. So now let's go ahead and put all 8 new spark plugs in and all 8 new coil packs in. But if you guys are not too sold on cranking the engine and purging all that PB Blaster out, get yourself a shop vac, the mini one. And then you actually suck all of it out, because that's what I did with the PB Blaster when I had the rest of the spark plug in there. So trust me, it works. Alrighty, got all 8 spark plugs out without snapping them off in the head. So one problem solved. Now we need to put all 8 spark plugs, new ones, in, and all 8 new coil packs in. But first, I need to get my install tool. And I take one of these old coil packs and I pull the rubber off, because watch what I'm going to do with this rubber. So I grab my box full of new stuff, got all my spark plugs, got all my coil packs. But what I'm going to do now is I need to install that, or at least get them started. So I put the old rubber on there and I use it to drop down in there and get the threads started, because you do not want to use any impacts on these, because you can break them and then you're going to be starting all this over again. So just grab yourself a piece of rubber, or I think it's about 3/8 rubber tube, or rubber hose rather, and just dump it in there, turn it a few times just to get it started. Of course the rubber is going to pull right on off. Pull right off just like that. Now we just got to do it 7 more times. Now like I said, don't use air tools or electric impacts, because you don't want to break your brand new spark plug. So just take your time, get your little hand ratchet and get them all down in there, and you'll feel them get tight. A minute. There we go. That's how you know you won't break them. essentially that's how it's done, getting the spark plugs out, replacing the coil packs, putting new spark plugs in, and even getting one out that was a pain in the butt that whoever worked on this before should have replaced those two that on the driver's side, which are a pain in the ass to get. But well, at least I saved this head. And next thing we need to do is we need to tackle the fuel injectors, because as you see I left them out, and I left them out for a reason, because I want to bench clean them, if that makes sense. Now it's time for the injector cleaner bench cleaning. First off, go into the kitchen and you steal your wife's good Tupperware, preferably a flat one like this stuff. It's like, oh, hi honey.
Hi.
Shh, don't tell her.
You said hi, honey?
Holy, she doesn't see this.
You better redo that.
I highly recommend, if you're gonna do this outside, because the fumes from those injectors are gonna be overwhelming, believe me, if you're inside your garage. Just FYI, well, unless you really want to get high and lightheaded and pass out, and yeah, just do it outside. So I'm gonna place it right here, and we're gonna fill this thing up with some injector cleaner. Okay, now that we have the bath ready, we can dump the injectors in there. But the first thing I need to do is I want to take the O-rings off, because yes, you can reuse those O-rings if they're not that swole or cut, screwed up, or whatever. But I would recommend replacing all the O-rings on the injectors, just so you don't have any leaks. But we need to go ahead and take all those O-rings off. Well, it's quite unfortunate taking all the injector seals or O-rings out. Top ones came out fine. These, the bottom ones, the most important ones, yeah, those broke. So we're gonna end up, of course, replacing all 8, top and bottom. So but let's continue on and put the injectors in the solution, so we can at least get all that 100,000 mile gunk out of it. Yeah. Bath time. All right. Check all that crap out. Look at it. Stuff's turning black. Insane. Now that the water turned black, obviously the injector cleaner is working. But let's agitate it a little bit. There we go. Yeah, buddy. And if you run out of car injector cleaner, just go ahead and shake it. Just shake it. Now that you let this stuff sit in here for at least about 30 minutes, what I do is I take one out at a time and I start wiping it off. That's all you gotta do. But we might go for a second bath on these, depending on what they look like after I get them all dry. Well, since I'm going to be here for a while detailing these 100,000 mile 1999 Ford injectors, I don't want to make this video too long, because like I said, this is going to be a series. I'm going to be doing a lot of things to this truck. So what we're going to do is place the injector seals on order, because I obviously don't have them, and when they come in I can pick up the video from there. So see you in the second episode, and please like, subscribe if you enjoy this type of stuff, and we'll just have to see you next time. Peace.